When you think about entertaining tennis players to watch, the most recurrent name, one that will immediately come to mind, is Gael Monfils. The Frenchman is one of a kind. He's one of the most beloved players, mostly due to his very interesting playing style and great character that always delivers a great show. Seeing him display his abilities and talent, it may sound weird to hear that he has never won a big title. And now that his career is coming to an end, one could say that he will most likely never win any. So, is it fair to call him an underachiever? For context, he won the U13 and U14 100-meter French national championships. You wouldn't have expected that, huh? What's more, one of his coaches said that he had the potential to reach the 100-meter Olympic final if he would have continued with that career. That speaks a lot about his physical condition for that sport. However, Gael chose tennis. Was that the right choice? I guess we'll never know. Monfils started playing junior tournaments at the very young age of 15 years old in 2002. He first played some grade 4 and grade 5 tournaments and quickly built his ranking until becoming one of the best in the U16 category. His potential was huge already since back then. Throughout that season, he won multiple tournaments in that category and even represented France at the Junior Davis Cup. The following year, he started mixing up his junior tournaments with some ITF futures in pursuit of his first professional tour points. He got his first ATP point relatively quickly and managed to win a handful of matches at that level. In the meantime, he also competed in juniors, where he reached the semifinals at the Orange Bowl and the USTA International Winter Championships. He also reached the quarterfinals of the Junior Australian Open and finished the year ranked 21 in the world in that category. 2004 would be his last year of juniors and arguably one of the best seasons of his entire career. He ended the year with a mind-blowing 31-2 record in juniors, winning 3 consecutive Grand Slam titles: the Australian Open, Roland Garros, and Wimbledon. His Grand Slam streak came to an end when he eventually lost to Viktor Troicki in the third round of the US Open. His only other loss was against Misha Zverev in the final of the Australian Hardcourt Junior Championships. Absolutely insane from whatever perspective you look at it. In addition, he kept playing professional tournaments and performed as good as in juniors. He won his first ITF Futures tournament in April in Great Britain, just a week after reaching his first final the week prior in Italy. Moreover, he made his first steps in Challenger and ATP events, receiving a wild card for the Marseille Open in Metz and managing to win his first 2 matches before losing to Richard Gasquet in the quarterfinals. Just a few weeks after, he qualified for the Paris Masters, his first Masters 1000 event. Not only did he qualify, but he also won his first round match against former world number 4 Thomas Engqvist before losing to world number 3 at the time, Australian Leighton Hewitt. His growth that year was simply outstanding. He made almost 700 positions in the ATP rankings from 925 to 239 in the world at the end of the year. As people expected from such a talent, Monfils' growth continued exponentially. In 2005, his first full season as a professional player, he managed to capture his first ATP title in Sopot and reached a further 2 finals on home soil in Metz and Lyon. He also won 2 challenger events and had some notable results in some of the biggest tournaments, such as the 4th round in Miami and a 3rd round at Wimbledon. Gael finished the year inside the world's top 50 as the French number 3 and was awarded the ATP Newcomer of the Year award. Over the following years, great results kept coming in. In 2006, he reached the final in Doha, as well as the Rome Masters semifinals and Roland Garros 4th round, to finish the year inside the ATP's top 25. Between 2007 and 2008, he reached another 2 ATP finals, none of which he was able to win. In 2008, however, Monfils succeeded in the only 2 Grand Slams he was able to play. He reached the semifinals at the French Open, which he lost to Roger Federer, and the 4th round at the US Open. He skipped the Australian Open and Wimbledon due to injury. Moreover, he had the chance to play the Olympic Games representing France and made it all the way to the quarterfinals, where he lost to Novak Djokovic. By this time, Gael was already a well-known tennis player, not because of his outstanding results, but mostly because of his very likable character. Besides his charismatic personality, he has always been a great fighter on the court. He's one of the most athletic guys on tour, even at his current age. His ability to run, slide, and bring multiple balls back is one of the reasons why his game is so attractive to watch. He has also demonstrated an incredible capacity to add pace to his shots, especially during clutch moments. However, his main focus is usually consistency rather than power. He's usually conservative from the baseline, both with his forehand and his backhand. His serve is one of his main weapons, but again, he usually looks for positioning rather than speed. His touch is also top-notch. 2009 was the year when he reached the first of his peaks. He reached the fourth round in Australia, the final in Acapulco, and the quarterfinals at Roland Garros. He didn't play Wimbledon due to an injury, but then reached the fourth round of the US Open. In the final months of the season, he won the title in Metz and reached the final at home in the Paris Masters, on what was his first Masters 1000 final, which he eventually lost to Novak Djokovic. All these great results were enough to place him inside the top 10 for the very first time. Throughout the following 2 years, he won 2 more titles in Montpellier and Stockholm, and lost a further 4 finals. As a result of his consistency, he reached a career-high ranking at the time of world number 7. He made his 3rd and 4th Grand Slam quarterfinals, firstly at the US Open for the first time and then at Roland Garros for the 3rd time, and reached his 2nd Masters 1000 final, at home once again, playing the Paris Masters final for the 2nd year in a row. His consistency was great, but he was not able to get that massive result he was seeking for. Being such an athletic player didn't come with no expense for La Monf, who suffered many injuries throughout his career. 2012 was especially a year with a lot of injuries, which saw him reach a few more finals, but also made him lose a lot of points that he had from the previous year due to being unable to play at certain events. The following season, he made his comeback and regained his confidence, slowly but surely. He managed to reach a few more finals and even won a challenger title in Bordeaux for the first time in many years. In 2014, Gael won his 5th career title in Montpellier and reached a new final in Doha. He added one more final in Marseille in 2015, which made it 17 lost finals in 22 appearances. A pretty shocking record in decisive matches. However, he kept having very good results at Grand Slam levels, reaching quarterfinals at the French Open and the US Open in 2014. It was finally in 2016 when he reached the 2nd peak of his career. Even though it was not as high as many people expected from him, it was still a very good season, arguably the best of his professional career. He reached the quarterfinals at the Australian Open for the very first time, made back-to-back quarterfinals in Indian Wells and Miami, and reached his 3rd Masters 1000 final and first one on clay in Monte Carlo, which he unfortunately lost to none other than Rafael Nadal. His great momentum was interrupted by a viral infection, which affected his results and prevented him from playing his home Grand Slam. However, a few weeks later, things would become great again, as he won his first ATP 500 title in Washington, his biggest one yet. He then played the Olympics, where he reached the quarterfinals, losing to Nishikori after having match points in his favor. He carried his great form into the US Open, where he reached his 2nd Grand Slam semifinal, which he lost to Novak Djokovic. All these results were able to momentarily put him in the 6th spot of the ATP rankings, his career-high ranking, and qualify him for the ATP finals for the first time in his career. After losing to Roenick and Thiem, he was forced to withdraw from the year-end tournament with an injury and was replaced by David Goffin. After such a peak, the following season was nowhere as expected. He didn't have any results worth highlighting other than the Eastbourne final, and therefore dropped in the rankings. 2018 was slightly better, as he won his 7th ATP Tour title in Doha at the beginning of the year, and later on reached the 4th round at Wimbledon for the very first time in his career. In 2019, he clearly regained his form. He won his 2nd ATP 500 title and 8th of his career in Rotterdam, and reached the quarterfinals at the US Open yet again. He ended the year ranking number 10 in the world on what marked his return to the top 10 for the first time since 2017. 2020 was a great year for La Monf, until we all know what happened. He won 2 titles in February after the Australian Open in Montpellier and Rotterdam, where he defended his crown from the previous year. This was the first time that he had won multiple titles in a season. However, as tennis resumed later on in that year, he had lost his form. The struggles continued in 2021 when he only reached the final in Sofia towards the end of the year. During that season, he obtained his 500th ATP Tour win, an incredible milestone. With the new point system as a result of the pandemic, Monfils' rankings still had not been very much affected, in spite of his not-so-good results. However, it eventually happened in 2022 when he dropped outside of the top 50. It didn't seem like that was going to be the case as he started the year with a title in Adelaide and backed up that week with a quarterfinals run in Melbourne. However, injuries appeared once again and compromised the rest of his season. After a very poor start in the season in 2023, trying to come back from injury, he kept going and managed to win his 12th career title in Stockholm towards the end of the year, which put him back inside the top 100. This was the 14th year in a row that he reached a final at ATP level. That season, he also had the chance to participate in the Laver Cup for the first time ever in his career. One would think that he accepted the invitation to enjoy one last ride, already towards the end of his career, but he would prove us all wrong. While he might still be in the final months of his career, Gael has seemingly recovered his form in 2024. He's not reached a final yet, but he has won enough matches to get back inside the 40 best players in the world. How much more tennis will we see from Gael Monfils? That's a great question. Probably not much. So we must all enjoy every single one of his games from now on. One of the greatest showmans the sport has ever witnessed. He will be missed when he decides to hang the rackets up. Ultimately, Monfils is already 37 years old and is married to fellow tennis player Alina Svitolina, who he has been dating since 2019. Together, they have a daughter, Sky, who was born in 2022. Therefore, he definitely has a lot to look forward to once he stops playing tennis. However, he has said that he's still enjoying the ride, so as long as that continues to happen, we might see him on court for a bit longer. Will we see Gael Monfils reach a final in 2024? Or will this be the first season of his professional career without reaching one? Only time will tell. If you enjoyed today's video, don't hesitate to subscribe to the channel so as to not miss any of the upcoming videos. I'll see you soon for the new one.